Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today we look at the last box set in our series, looking at the different box sets that have come out alongside Broken Realms Teclis, and how to use them to start up brand new armies for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. While these boxes are meant to be used to build up the battalions for the various armies that are coming out alongside Broken Realms Teclis, they also provide a great entry point for new players in the game, and that's exactly how we will be looking at them today. So this video is going to be about the aMaggotkin of Nurgle's box set called the Invidian Plaguehost, and we're going to look at exactly what's in it, how we can expand upon it, and how a sample army at the end. So to start off with, let's talk about those Plague Bearers. So for starters, Plague Bearers are your basic demon of Nurgle. They have some decent abilities and an okay stat line. I mean, they only move 4 inch, they've got bravery 10 like all demons, a 5+ save, and they are forced to hit while 3s to wound, which is pretty decent. 3s to wound is nice. What's cool about them though is they all have the disgustingly resilient rule, which means they all have a 5+ damage prevention roll, or ward save, whatever you want to call it, feel no pain, etc. They also have the Cloud of Flies ability, which is really cool. This allows you to subtract 1 to hit for the unit when they're being shot at. However, if they're over 20 or more models, then it's subtract 2 from hit rolls and 1 from combat rolls as well. Lastly, they can reroll save rolls of 1 whilst they are wholly within 7 inch of a friendly Nurgle demon hero. So they've got some really cool abilities, and now that all compiles with the fact we've got 2 other Nurgle characters in this box set. First of all, we've got the Spoilpox Scrivener. Now he's got a really cool ability where he obviously has disgustingly resilient himself, so he's a little bit more survivable than your average 5 wound hero. But his big thing is that he can elect a Plague Bearer unit near him to carry out a count. And this effectively gives him a bunch of different abilities. One, you could add in more attacks. This is just going to be a weight of attacks. It's probably the worst out of the options that you're going to be able to choose from. Another one, you can improve their Ren by 1. This becomes rather nice. Or add 1 to their save rolls. Thinking of that, that's Plague Bearers are going to be on a 4-up save rerolling 1s. That's the equivalent of Liberators from Stormcast Eternal. So that's pretty decent, especially on like nice big blobs that also have negatives to hit on them from shooting and potentially even combat. The other hero we've got in the box set is perhaps the best named hero in all of Warhammer itself, the Sloppety Bile Piper. So as always, he's got a disgustingly resilient save as well, the 5+ DPR. He also adds 1 to the bravery characteristic of friendly Nurgle Daemon heroes when they're wholly within 14 inch of him, which is pretty cool, as his merry little tune inspires them. He's then got the Jolly Gut Pipes rule where at the start of the combat phase you can say this model will be playing a revolting tune. If you do so, you can pick one of the following tunes and the effect of the tune lasts until the end of that phase. If a unit is affected by 2 or more different tunes, none of those tunes have an effect on the unit in the phase, so effectively they can only be affected by 1. You can either choose to add 1 to the attacks characteristic of units wholly within 14, he can also choose to do some mortal wounds, or he can choose to allow enemy models within 3 inch of friendly Nurgle Daemon units that's wholly within 14 inch of enemy Sloppety Bile Pipers. Playing the tune cannot make pile-in models closer to a model from the unit that they were at the start of the move. So that's pretty cool. Can stop some pile-ins, which is always nice. You've got a ton of cool play in this box set, and what's great too, with 2 units of 10 Plague Bearers and 2 characters, you've got a great start for an army. And so where do we go to next? Well, I thought we'd look at the other units that get buffs in Broken Realms Teclis. And the other unit besides the Sloppety Bile Piper and Spoilpox Scrivener that's got an updated War Scroll is the Beast of Nurgle. And he's actually got a pretty decent update, I will say. I think they are extremely good. So to start off with, they've got 8 wounds, 5 inch move, 10 bravery as always, and a 5-up save, but they've also got disgusting resilient in there as well. They've got pretty decent attacks with 4 attacks that are all 2 damage and another sort of d6 attacks at 1 damage, but their big things is that they do mortal wounds if they make a retreat move just before they do it, and also they've got the Attention Seekers ability, which allows them to run and or retreat and still charge later in the same turn, and they can pass over models doing this as if they had fly. They're effectively like bounding, bubbling puppies. It's really quite cool. They've got Pestilence Battle Ram as well, where if they move near units, they do some mortal wounds as well. So all these movement sort of things they can do really just starts doing out a ton of mortal wounds. Now, to go along with them, Horticulate Slimex suddenly becomes a decent option when you start looking at Beasts of Nurgle, because one, he gives them the ability to reroll charge rolls for Beasts of Nurgle units that are within 7 inch of him, but also he allows them to reroll hit rolls of 1, really making those attacks that little bit better. He himself allows you to start placing trees around the places. He is effectively Nurgle's primary gardener, and so you're getting heaps more trees around the place, and he does a little bit of healing here and there as well. The other units I'm suggesting might not fit into your initial 1,000 points, but are definitely options potentially worth looking at. Plague drones, for one, are definitely an option as they're flying plague bearers. They've got a decent amount of wounds on the model, really take a lot of buffs from spells and stuff you can do with Nurgle really well, and give you that little bit of speed as well. And of course, they have fly at all times, which is extremely important. The other unit I'd strongly suggest having a look at is the Great Unclean one. First of all, the Bile is, for me, the best option to do. This gives you a movement bonus while you're within range of him, which really can give you that ability to sort of push out with this seemingly slow but deceptively fast army at the start of the game. You've also got just a bunch of spells that come out of him. He's one of your best spellcasters you're going to get inside Nurgle. He's just a great option all round to be picking up. And so here we have a little sample army list for you. We're obviously playing aMaggotkin of Nurgle, and we're going to be playing in the sub-allegiance, the Munificent Wanderers. This particular sub-allegiance is found inside the Wrath of the Everchosen book. Now, we come up to 970 points, which means we've got a good chance of getting a Triumph, which is pretty cool in this army. Rerolls to hit would be a really good one if you get it. But to start with, we're going to have a Sloppety Bile, and he's going to be our general. He's going to have the command trait, One Last Gift, and the artifact, the Muck Talon, both of which he must have due to being the Munificent Wanderer's sub-allegiance. Now, what we get from this, Muck Talon's not really much. He simply has more attacks, so it makes sense to put it on him rather than the Spoilpox Scrivener. But One Last Gift is around him. He's got a certain bubble around him, and when your opponent rolls 6s to hit your units wholly within 12 inch of the general, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound instead. It's pretty cool and can do a decent amount of mortal wounds back. It really powers up when you consider that the Beasts of Nurgle are doing a ton of mortal wounds already. We've then got the command ability Infested with Wonders, which allows us to pretty much do mortal wounds if our units are charged. We've also got the whole thing where all Nurgle Daemons suffer, well, their opponents suffer -1 rend when attacking Nurgle Daemons. This is just all things we're getting due to being Munificent Wanderers. Now, as mentioned, we've got Horticulate Slimex in there, and he's going to buff up some Beasts of Nurgle. So effectively, we've got 2 major parts to this army. We've got the 2 smaller Daemon Herald heroes, the Sloppety Bile and the Spoilpox Scrivener, that are going to be going around with our 2 units of 10 Plague Bearers, and then we've got Horticulate Slimex, who's going to be going around with our Beasts of Nurgle. What's interesting here with the Beasts of Nurgle is you really have a bunch of options you can choose from to make them into different units. You could run them as 1 unit of 5, you could run them as 2 units of 2 and a unit of 1, or you could run them even as like 5 individual Beasts of Nurgle. It's really up to you how you wish to run them. You can potentially drop 1 and maybe squeeze in some more Plague Bearers if you wish, and there's a few things you can play around with this list all around the edges of what you want to do, but really it's got these, Horticulus goes out with the Beasts, and your other 2 characters team up with the Plague Bearers, and this gives you your 2 main forces for the army. What do you think of this list though? What do you think of the new box set for aMaggotkin of Nurgle, and what do you think of the new Daemon allegiances and the battalion you're getting inside Broken Realms Teclis? Well, thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by coming and joining our Discord server, which you'll find a link to in the description of the video. While you're on YouTube as well, go check out my featured channel section, which contains a bunch of other fantastic Age of Sigmar content creators doing everything from battle reports, tactical videos, lore videos, painting tutorials, and more besides that. Lastly though, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you to James, AJC, JC, Christian Weir, Soren, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, Chaospawn, James Crowder, and Andrew Bowen. Thank you all so much for your support, and if you'd like to help support the channel like these fine people do, you can do so by clicking once again on the links down in the description of the video to either YouTube members or Patreon. Thank you all for supporting the channel though, watching the content. Have a nice day, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.